Good afternoon. My name is Diane Flax. What I'm going to share with you today is my favorite thing to do, which is travel. I think most people think travel is taking warm weather vacations, trips abroad, cruises. That's a very small portion of what I think travel is all about. I'm going to share with you what I think travel is and give you some pictures and slideshows of what my idea and experience of travel is. I was introduced to travel and the love of travel from my parents at a very young age. At age 5, we took our first trip. We loaded in the car, and what felt like an eternity, we arrived at our destination, camping in Upper Ontario. Everything we did, we cooked outside, we ate outside, all our food was prepped on an open fire. During the day, we would play at the beach, in the sand, go fishing, go back at the campfire, roast marshmallows, make pie irons. And the first trip I ever took on a plane was at the age of 6, where we went to Winnipeg to visit family. While we were in Winnipeg is where I had my serious fear of bees created. I got stuck in the mud trying to escape a swarm of bees that was relocating its nest. As I aged and grew up, we continued to travel as a family. Now that I'm an adult and married, I continue to travel and camp, now with my husband and my stepson. We use the camping skills that I learned from my parents over the years. We've gone back to the basics. We tent camp. We cook on an open fire whenever possible. Our favorite thing to do while camping is fishing. Most times we'll rent a boat and go take the day and fish. At age 8, my stepson would sit in the boat for hours on end, never complain. As soon as we landed the boat, the first thing he would ask is, "Can we do it again?" While we fished, somehow I became the head baiter for the hooks. If we were lucky enough to catch a fish, I was the one that was having to take it off the hook, provide the refreshments and the snacks in the boat. So I guess this means I'm mom. I get to do that. Many of the trips we also take is in group settings where a group of people that are competing at races will travel together and go to different venues and share our experiences. This is where we've had the time to be able to teach my son the value of camaraderie and inclusion. During these times, we often participate in volunteering, cheering on the other competitors. By the age of 15, my stepson was able to accumulate all his volunteer hours required for his graduation from high school. Tropical adventures. As I mentioned in my introductions, I think most people associate travel with warm weather, destinations, international travel. We've done this. We've been to Mexico, Jamaica, Punta Cana. This is where we do our rest and relaxation in preparation for our race season. The race season usually starts March and finishes up in November, so we use the time to just kind of rest and regroup. And then when the race season starts, we have our trips. These are probably our most memorable trips. This is where we meet a lot of new people, make new friends, share a lot of good memories. Memorable places and people that we've met. On a lot of the race routes that we travel, we've been in United States, we've been to Boston, Philadelphia, Chicago, Houston, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, New York, Washington, Michigan. We've been to Quebec and Ontario. We've visited Ottawa, Kingston, Hamilton, Toronto, Muskoka, Huntsville, Wellington, Niagara, a bunch of small communities and cities. While on our trip to Boston in 2009, we met Ryan Hall. Later, we were able to watch him qualify to become one of the 2012 marathon competitors for the U.S. National Olympic team. We visited Ottawa, where my husband was a member of the duathlon national team and competed for the World Duathlon Championship. While we were in Ottawa, we were able to take the opportunity to share with my son the historic buildings of Ottawa Parliament. We're able to show him where the Prime Minister lives. We didn't get an invite. And see the wide culture and history of that community. Many of our day trips are with family to build memory. This last Christmas, we took an extended family. We all went, cut our trees down, and with the family all getting together, we were able to watch the little ones play in Santa's Village, ride the train. We all headed out to cut our tree, came back to the campfire, roasted marshmallows, cooked hot dogs, sat around, laughed, shared, enjoyed each other's company, packed up, and on our way out noticed a few other co-workers and friends doing the same thing at the tree place, Sloan's. We plan to do this again next year. However, we're hoping that there may be a little bit of snow so that it's a little more festive. The day trips, we make a lot of new traditions with that. Father's Day has become a big tradition over the years. We go to the same race every year, and the first race, we made a special ribbon for Dad on Father's Day so that when he crossed the finish line, he had his Father's Day's gift put on a ribbon around his neck. And then every year after the event, we go out for breakfast and celebrate Father's Day with my husband and his son. Having the pictures to watch everything over the years is amazing to build the memories and history and see the evolution and growth of both my husband and his son, watching them both develop. A lot of our trips that we take are down to basics. We do very rustic, primitive camping in backyards, at conservation areas. These are usually surrounding events that are ultra races that my husband participates in. Very grassroots, very interesting group of people. Throughout the years of doing all these things, we've met many, many people and made a ton of new friends doing this. A lot of times to save money because we travel so much, we'll camp in the back of the SUV, try and figure out how to stay away from the bugs that are eating us alive. We've come up with very interesting, unique ways to make sure that it becomes a comfortable environment to sleep in, get up in the morning, heat up our leftovers that we've had on the Coleman stove, and then when everything's all said and done, laugh about our adventures on our way home. Not all trips are memorable, or not all trips are good. We took a trip to New York the year of Sandy. It was right after the hurricane hit New York. It was supposed to be the New York Marathon. After confirming that the race was going to happen, we got on a plane and flew to New York. While coming over the land over the water onto the lands to land the plane, I was horrified by what I seen. The devastation, the flooding, the buildings that were destroyed, the boats that were tipped over, the docks that were torn apart were just unbelievable to see. We landed the plane, and then further to our horror as we were going to that hotel, piles and piles of food on the sides of the road near restaurants and businesses. They had been without power for more than 3 days, and the food was rotting in the streets. Half of New York was still dark. Going to a shop to grab some, quick food to bring back to the hotel with us, and standing there listening to the first responders talk about Ellis Island, where the race was supposed to start, and they saying that they were pulling bodies off the island. Going to the expo, checking in, on our way back to get the news, the race is canceled. Trying to make the best of a bad situation, we still did go to Central Park, Times Square, Macy's, the Apple Store, trying to build some memories. My most memorable part of being in New York on this trip was seeing the resolution, the determination, and the will of the people to rebuild their community. It was quite amazing to see how quickly they rallied 3 to 4 days after the storm. The other thing I will take away from it is the sheer amazing force of Mother Nature. I've been through a number of storms, never witnessing the after effect of such a horrific event. It does make you take notice of what Mother Nature can do. Over the years, going to different venues, taking pictures of all the events, we're able to go back and reflect on the pictures, and you can see the beginning with my husband and his little son, and to a couple of years ago, the young boy who now towers over his dad, and watching the father-son relationship blossom into a father-son slash friend. As he ages, they became more able to share things of importance and skill building and bonding issues. Concluding the whole thing, this presentation has opened my eyes. It wasn't until I completed it that I realized how lucky I was to be able to travel and do the things I do with the traveling. Travel has shown me how to look at things more open-minded, allow myself to get out of my comfort zone and enjoy the experience. I also need to remind myself often at these trips to make sure I get included in the pictures, because often when I get home, I'm not in them. And I need to do this to make sure that I have the memories of myself at these venues and our trips and our experiences that we've had. Traveling can be as close as a trip to the next county, to the next province, across the border, across the seas, across the ocean. I highly recommend taking that step out the door and not knowing what awaits you, to enjoy the experience and take a moment to travel and experience the world. Thank you for allowing me to share my favorite thing.